right, let's do this podcast before we get off track even more. So it's 8:26. All right.
I'm recording, so we're good.
What's up? Fuck. What's up,
after
everybody?
all that?
Jesus Christ. I'm going to bed, guys. Good night.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Base Hit Ball 4. My name is Glenn Daenerys, alongside, as always, Alex Cashman, Scott Roswell, Tyler Blumenstick. We are another week into our division preview. Last week, we previewed the NL West. It was a consensus that we thought it would be Dodgers 1, Padres 2, and then the other three will do what the other three decide to do. We all decide that they're all kind of rebuilding. But now we will move on to the NL Central. And guys, I don't know if you guys agree with me. This is the least interesting division in baseball for a few reasons. Last year, actually, 4 of the 5 teams made the playoffs, which is kind of shocking, but it was an expanded playoffs. And, you know, the Cubs, the Cardinals, the Brewers, and the
Pirates.
The Reds made the playoffs. The Pirates, Tyler, did not.
I thought you were naming all the teams. I was looking at the division. I saw Pirates. I said Pirates. Whatever.
So I don't think any of them won the wild card series, though. I think they all got bounced. The Cubs got bounced by the Marlins.
Yes.
The Reds got bounced by the Braves. The
Reds
Brewers
didn't score
got
a run.
bounced by the Dodgers. And then who did I miss after that? Who did I miss?
Cardinals.
The Cardinals got bounced by the Padres. So 4 teams in, but all 4 teams quickly are out. To begin this preview, let's start with the defending champion Cubs, because I think, you know, we can talk about the Cardinals and their big move in a second, but the Cubs are really interesting because we thought when 2016 happened, after they broke the curse, we thought that this could possibly be a team that could rattle off 2 of 3, 3 of 5, because that core was there. They had Rizzo, they had Bryant, they had Baez, they had Addison Russell at the time, they had Contreras, they had the veteran presence in Hayward, they had all these guys with that pitching staff and Lester and Arrieta and Hendricks. And then ever since 16, it's kind of fallen off. They made it to the NLCS in 17, lost to the Dodgers in 5. They lost the wild card playoff to the Rockies in 18, didn't make it at all in 19, got a new manager, got rid of Joe Madden, brought in David Ross, and then won the division, and then got bounced, got swept embarrassingly by, you know, the Marlins, who had a good year on their terms. But, you know, the talent from the Cubs to the Marlins really shouldn't be any close. Theo Epstein, he resigned. Arrieta's gone. Yu Darvish is gone. We don't know the future of Chris Bryant. He might get traded. Javi Baez is going to be a free agent at year's end. Lester's out the door. This team, it seems like the window's closed. And if you ask any Cubs fan, they're going to say, listen, we didn't win for 108 years. We won. We're going to take it. But if you take a step back and look at it more on a broad sense, what this core looked like 3-4 years ago, coming away with just 1 is a real big disappointment. And it seems like they are starting to shift gears to the next era, and we might be in for a rebuild in the near future.
That's a bad take.
You think that's a bad take that they're going to rebuild?
No. I think that's a bad take to say they only came away with 1. You know, there were Cubs fans, a lot of them, that went their entire lives without seeing a World Series. And, you know, winning a World Series is not easy by any stretch of the imagination. So, I don't know. Coming away with 1 is pretty good. You know, obviously, you want to win more.
But, Cash, if you take that emotion out of it and look at the players that they had, you would think that they would at least win another pennant and at least reach the World Series a second time. But they didn't even do that.
I mean, listen, ideally, they would have liked to win another World Series or 2 or 3. You know, that's the goal, is to win every year. But what I'm saying is that if you ask Theo Epstein or Cubs organization, anyone, you know, if you had a redo button, would you change how things were done? I think they say no, because that's the goal, is to win a World Series. And they went a really long time without it. They reached the World Series, and you know, you look at some of their teams just in their division. I mean, the Brewers, Reds, Pirates. When was the last time we saw them in the World Series? Like, I mean, it's not easy to win a World Series, especially if you're not a team that's been there a lot. So, like, you know, you see these teams that kind of struggle year in and year out, and they kind of fall into this hole of just pure mediocrity for years. And then like the Cubs broke that and they finally won a World Series. So I think, yeah, they would have liked to win every year. I mean, every team wants to win every year, but I think what they did was pretty remarkable and they put together a really good team. I just think they got a little too cute afterwards and maybe did some things they shouldn't have done.
But do you think if things went the way that they expected, that Theo Epstein would have resigned and kind of gave up on them?
Did he resign because he gave up or because he wanted to pursue other opportunities?
I mean, that's what he presented it as, that he wanted to pursue greater opportunities, and now he's working in, league offices. But
if
I
the
don't know.
Cubs had a future that looked better than what it looks like in reality, does Theo Epstein leave?
But it's all a direct result of himself, I feel like, because he got what he went there for. He tried to continue it. It started to fall apart. So, like, how many cycles does a GM really want to be a part of? Like, that's the thing, especially a guy like Theo Epstein, where now this is the second place that he's kind of proven himself as an executive. When you're going down into the rebuild, like, he's going to go and probably, now he's with the MLB, but like, if he were to go take another GM job, somebody with his talents, I feel like would go to a team that's almost there, kind of like he did with the Cubs when he first came over. So,
yeah, it's just weird. Like, I guess I can kind of compare the 2016 Cubs team to like the Phillies were in 08, 09. Like, the Phillies developed this great core. They got to the World Series in 08, won, got back there in 09 and lost. And then after that, just each year got worse. And the Phillies held on to their core guys, Jimmy Rollins, Chase Ali, Ryan Howard, Cole Hamels. Like, they held on to them too long, and it set their team back really far, and they're still rebuilding now. I mean, they're closer now in 2021, but they haven't been to the postseason since 2011. Like, I think the Cubs are at that point right now where it's time to move on. Get rid of, like, Bryant, Baez, Rizzo are all free agents at the end of this season. Like, they probably got to pull the trigger on moving on from these guys to just try and replenish their farm system. Because it's tough. Like, that's a hard sell. We've said it about other teams. It's a hard sell to the fans to say we're kind of moving on, but you got to do it for the long run. And in my opinion, I think that's what they need to do.
Yeah, the Cubs, I guess, era of success started the year before they won the World Series in 2015. They lost to the Mets in the NLCS that year. And then ever since then, Scott says, replenishing the farm system. These last 6 years, they've had to really dip into that farm system to get what they want. We all know about the Glaber trade, had to give up Glaber, Torres for Chapman, and it worked out because Chapman was the, final piece of that puzzle. But then they gave up, Eloy Jimenez for a Quintana, and that didn't work out for the Cubs. So there's the Wade Davis trade.
Yeah, gave up Jorge Soler.
Exactly. There's been a lot of trades that the Cubs have made since 2016 to try to get back to the top of the mountain, and it hasn't worked out. And that's kind of the risk you run when you're going for it every single year, is that every single year you're going to have to make a big trade at the deadline to try to put yourself over the top. And if you don't win the World Series, then that prospect is going to flourish for another organization when you got this piece just to lose in the NLCS, NLDS, or in the wild card game. So that's where the Cubs have really, I guess, fallen off. They weren't able to play and, spend and buy at the deadline to win, but also at the same time keep replenishing their farm system at the lower ranks. And by the time, we get to this point, now they don't have the kids coming up that's going to make it a seamless transition from one generation to another.
And just another. Go ahead, Ty.
Sorry. I was waiting to interject, and I mean, before we get too far gone, I was thinking this entire time that when I think of the Cubs and kind of when the turning point was, I look back to that Quintana trade, because that was the year after they won the World Series.
Yes,
I think at the deadline, and I just feel like it was forced, and it wasn't really like an impact move. Like, it was. I want to see if I could find the rotation.
I want to see if we can find what Quintana's numbers were before that.
Well, he finished the year 7-3, 3.74 ERA, but that was a rotation that had John Lester finished with a 4.3, John Lackey finished with a 4.6, Arrieta, I believe his last year there, 3.5, 14 and 10, Hendricks and Eddie Butler. So like that's already a rotation that I feel like was not about to contend or at least be a World Series contender. Might have been able to contend in a division at the time, but I don't know. I feel like going out and giving up the prospects that you gave up to get Jose Quintana, I feel like it was just kind of throwing shit at the wall and hoping it stuck because like that's not a competitive rotation to add a guy into. And
Quintana's best year was in 2016 when he was an All-Star. He had a 3.2 ERA. In 2017, before the trade in the first half with the White Sox, his ERA was ballooned up to 4.49 in
Yep.
18 starts. Then after the trade to the Cubs, he got down to 3.74, in 14 starts. I mean, 3.74 with the offense that the Cubs had at the time, that'll win you games, but to give up the prospect that they gave up, and then for them to not win in 2017, to get bounced by the Dodgers in the NLCS in 5, that's not worth it. And that's kind of the trouble that the Cubs have gotten into the last 3-4 years since the championship.
I feel like it was desperation a little bit. And like, that's just really the mantra of like how the last couple of years have gone for them is like, they got a taste of what it feels like to win. And then now they're just saying like, all right, Jose Quintana is a name. Let's add him to the mix.
And they
And
did
just
have
keep going.
They also had bad luck with the Addison Russell situation. They weren't. Nobody saw that
True.
coming. They lost their franchise shortstop, which is something that a franchise doesn't want to happen.
I think Addison Russell was a huge loss for them. After they won the World Series in 16, Tom Verducci wrote the book The Cubs Way, just about that whole build-up that Theo Epstein did. And there was an extensive portion of that book that talked about how they targeted Addison Russell so they were looking for 4 pillars of like prospects to build around. And Addison Russell was one of those 4 guys. I believe the other Schwarber, Bryant, Russell, I forget who the 4th was. But those 3 guys, you can look at all 3 of them as people that didn't really pan out the way that they expected. So that's probably one of those things that, those guys didn't develop, and that's kind of where things turned as well, along with that Quintana trade.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
was Rizzo, by the way.
Rizzo, he was the 4th.
Yeah, because they got him from San Diego, correct?
I wasn't sure if he was considered one of the 4 pillars at the time. It might have been. It would make sense that he was. And
Yeah.
Rizzo's been the most consistent, stable piece of that roster since 2014, 2015. But they just they didn't develop and take the next leap that we all thought those guys would.
Yeah, you see teams that are contending now, like the Dodgers, like they'll go out, they'll get Manny Machado and they'll get all these guys at the deadline. They still have the depth in the farm system to, I guess, bounce back from losing a prospect because there's just another great prospect coming out. You never really got that vibe with the Cubs. It seems like when they made trades, they were dipping into a farm system that was very thin. And then they said, you know what, we're not going to worry about the farm system right now. Let's win another World Series. And when you don't, it doesn't look bad. I don't want to say it looks bad because they did win, as Cash said, they did win one. And after going 108 years, so like generations of families never saw a Cubs World Series. So it's good that they won one, but again, taking a step back, you probably with that talent would have expected them to at least make another World Series, if not win another World Series. Let's move on to the now with the Cubs, because I don't think any of us are expecting them to kind of compete. I mean, the division's not great, so they could find themselves at the end of September battling with the Cardinals. I don't think the wild card is going to be in play because I think it's going to go to the Padres or one of the NL East teams. So I think the biggest question with the Cubs is going to be around the deadline. Do they decide to ship off a package of Bryant and Rizzo and Baez and whatever other veterans out there, or do you think they want to run it back one more time with this group?
Well, who are you giving them up for? It depends what they get in return.
I mean, they're going to have to get value. I mean, I don't know how much value you're going to get for rentals because they're all free agents at the end of the year.
Yeah, you could probably get the most for Baez just because he's still young. He plays a premier position at shortstop. But like Rizzo and Bryant, like at this point, Bryant's still young. Like he's still got a future. Rizzo's, starting to hit the back end of his career. So I don't know. I think you got to get as much as you possibly can.
Do you think they should hang on to one? Do you think they should extend one just as a bone to the fans to say, no, we're still here?
If they are, it should be Baez.
I think so
Yeah.
too. I agree.
Just because he's the youngest, he plays shortstop, like middle of the infield. He's flashy. Like you can sell him even in rebuilding, times.
I think we can look at the.
I think you can get
Lindor-
the most for Kyle Hendricks. I think you can get a lot for Kyle Hendricks.
That's a good point.
Yeah, true. Pitching wise, Kyle Hendricks would probably be most valuable.
As like if they were to move Baez, Lindor was moved in the offseason, but I think we can look at his contract kind of as like a baseline as to like what Baez would get the Cubs in return. But it's even less than what the Mets had to give up to get Lindor, because if you're trading Baez at the deadline, you're missing out on half of a season of this guy. And I don't know. I feel like if you were going to act on these guys, it should have been in the offseason. So that tells me that they're looking to ride it out. And I wouldn't be shocked if Rizzo stays and gets signed to like maybe a team-friendly deal, and then Baez gets the contract extension he is expecting, and then Bryant is allowed to
I
go
think
walk.
Brian is long gone.
Yeah, I
honestly.
agree.
Yeah.
Who would Bryant go to though? Because if you look around the league, not a lot of teams are going to be, a lot of the World Series contenders, they have their third basemen already. Other than like the Mets, maybe. What team is going to need that third baseman to put over the top? Because
Twins are interesting.
The Dodgers and Padres have their third basemans. The Yankees have a third baseman. The Blue Jays have a third baseman. I'm trying to think. The Astros have Bregman. What's a spot where you can see Bryant going?
I think you hit it right on the head. Is the Mets, depending on what the Mets do, could be a spot.
That would be such a Mets thing to do, is to get a guy.
There's already been rumors
career.
about the Mets and Bryant.
The Nationals, maybe they're still, looking to contend.
The Phillies have a third baseman.
Phillies have their third baseman and Alec Boehm. So
Dare I say the Angels?
Who's the White Sox third baseman? No, the Angels have Rendon.
That's a good point.
The White Sox have
Moncada.
Moncada.
So
Athletics have Chapman. There's not a lot of spots. I mean, he could play left field. Brian can. He's been there before, but
Yeah.
I don't know where the market is for Brian.
His options definitely are limited.
It could come down to injuries.
That's a good point.
If a contender loses their third baseman, God forbid Machado goes down with season-ending injury, then Padres are going to make a play at him.
That'd be interesting. He's from San Diego. He went to University of San Diego.
Why did I think he was from Vegas? I thought him and
Oh no,
Bryce
yeah,
Harper-
he's right. He's from Vegas. He went to
Okay.
University of San Diego. My bad.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because he's friends with Harper. He played with Harper and Joey Gallo growing up. But yeah, that would be.
How do you
interesting.
get so lucky to have that little league team? Like seriously.
Who'd Kershaw play? Kershaw played with Matt Stafford, right? How does
Yeah.
this happen? How does that happen?
certain places just breed, man. It's incredible.
Not where we live, apparently. Well, that's not true.
We can't play
Bro,
baseball. There's still
Peppers.
snow outside. It hasn't snowed in 2.5
That's a good
weeks.
point. It's all the warm weather states. It's all those warm weather states.
That's why I'm going to Vegas to play baseball next week.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
Fun. Very fun.
I hope you stay safe because there is still a pandemic going on.
You know what? I will wear my mask, Glenn, and I'll make it there. And I'll make it
All
there.
right. Let's talk about the record for the Cubs this year. Over under. I'll put it at 500. Do we think this is a team that can get to 83, 84 wins in a bad division, or you think they're going to be under?
Over.
I don't think it's a bad division. Like I you keep saying that, but I don't think it really is.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like we said, 4 teams made the playoffs last year, but like none of them are overwhelming. I'll take the
It's a very
under.
competitive division. I would even argue it's one of the most competitive divisions.
Last
in
year, the Cubs
the
won a
league.
division. They were 34-26. The Reds were 31-29. St. Louis was 30-28 because they didn't play a full 60, and Milwaukee was 29-31. So they all made the playoffs, but they were all around 500. Now,
because
is there
they beat each other up. That's the
Yeah, but
whole.
is there-
That's the making of a good division. Like they're beating each other, and they're also
they
beating
can also
the
they
rest of
can
the
beat
league.
they can be beat each other up all they want. They can still all be mediocre though.
But they're going to take wins and losses away from each other, and they're going to get wins from beating
I don't
each
think
other.
there's a 95 win team in this division.
No, I think
No,
like
but I feel like that's
88
a byproduct of the fact that the division is so good.
But the NL East is really good, and then they're gonna have. I think the Braves or Mets or Phillies can be in upwards of 90s if they played their best. I don't
That's a good
think
point.
that the ceiling of an NL Central team is 95. I think the Braves and Mets can get to 95, maybe even the Phillies if they really play over their heads, or the
That's- yeah.
Nationals who won 2 years ago. But I don't know.
Yeah,
That's a very
it's
fair
like
point.
80, 87, 88 games, wins gets this division. There's just no one's overwhelming and no one went out and really did anything other than the Cardinals to say, hey, we're trying to win this division.
And you don't expect even the Cardinals with Arenado. You don't really expect the NL Central representative in the playoffs to really scare the Dodgers, Padres, Braves, and the other wild card, whether it be the Mets, Nationals, or Phillies.
Yeah, I would agree. I think they're a one team, postseason representative. No one jumps off the table. They're just all kind of to me.
So you think they're over 500, guys?
Yeah,
No,
I do.
I'll take the under.
I think
Yeah.
they're going to be slightly over because I still think there's talent there, but I just don't know if they're going to overtake another team in this division. Let's go to the second place team from last year, Cincinnati. They had Bauer, who won the Cy Young. Some say it's a Mickey Mouse Cy Young. I don't really understand what that means, but it's a Cy Young nonetheless. He leaves. He goes to the Dodgers. They still have Sonny Gray. They have Luis Castillo, who is in trade talks over the offseason. Offensively, they have Joey Votto's still there. They have Freddie Galvis, right?
No, Galvis is gone.
Galvis is gone.
He
Galvis
went
is
to the
gone.
Orioles.
Galvis went to Baltimore. What's our thoughts on Cincinnati? Kind of like a meh, kind of like how we talked
They've
about
been
the
almost
Giants and
there for the
Diamonds.
longest time.
Yeah, they're a team. They've gone out and they've done stuff. They did more last year than they did this year to say, hey, we're here to play. But
Moustakis.
they scored 0 runs in the postseason last year.
Yeah,
with their lineup, their lineup is supposed to be good and deep, and they scored 0 runs. I think the Bauer loss is big.
But they still have a good rotation even without him.
Yes, but he was an important part of that roster last year. They brought in Sean Doolittle for the back end of the bullpen to go along with Amir Garrett and Michael Lorenzen, but they also lost Raisel Iglesias. I think they're right in the middle. I think they can compete there. I think they can be towards the top, second place, but they could also come in fourth place.
Yeah, that's basically how all the teams are.
Yeah, that's how this whole division is, and that's kind of what the point we're trying to get across is. And they were in the offseason, they were trying to get rid of Moustakis and Castellanos, even though they had just signed them. So it was did they really want to compete?
You guys got anything?
Nah, not really. I mean, look,
I think they're irrelevant. Honestly, I don't. I think that, like Scott said, they did more last year, and yeah, losing Bauer is big. Even if it is a Mickey Mouse win of a Cy Young award, it's still a name and as their ace, and it still he just brought them to a different level, and they still couldn't win with them. So win a playoff game with them. So I'm gonna have to take the under on this. Whatever the under is, I'm gonna take the under.
I'll keep it at 500. Under 500.
Under, yeah.
Under. And
go
Pacoda
under
has
that.
them at 78.
Yeah,
I'd say under.
That's fair.
But I feel like, all right, I will add one thing. I feel like if Shogo can contribute, I mean, not really a big piece of that lineup, and if Aquino can take the next step and be consistent, that's a lot of power in that lineup. And I don't know. I just feel like they're
didn't
very
even
young.
play it all last year. I don't think. Was he
I
even
don't know
up?
why. Yeah, he was there, but I don't know. They really don't have much of an option to keep him out. That's the thing.
Yeah, because of what he did when he came up in 19. He showed that he can hit at the big league level. Not sure why he didn't play much last year.
I'm gonna look it up.
I don't know, but they have a good lineup. They can hit, but it's whether or not they do it consistently and do it at the right time. 'Cause, that's what matters.
Yeah.
The scoring 0 runs in a postseason series really sticks out.
They had opportunities to win both games.
It sticks out, but it also I feel like it's a very nitpicky thing. I don't want to say nitpicky.
It's overplayed because the Braves really did play phenomenally. You can't just say, hey, the Reds just didn't score. The Braves played really well. They had a great team. You got to give the other team some credit as well.
Yeah, they were
Wasn't it
one
2
game away from
games,
the World
though?
Series.
It was a 2-game series.
That's the
Didn't
thing.
the game go into extra innings too? One of
Yeah,
them.
the first game went to extra innings. It was 14-inning game, and they couldn't score.
So that's 2.5 games.
Yeah, but I mean,
I'm not saying it's an ideal situation. I'm just saying you got to give the other team some credit. The Braves pitched very well that series.
But to be fair, the Reds also did
Right.
really, really well. Like,
Yeah.
I
don't know.
also recall Cincinnati having runners in scoring position with less than 2 outs multiple times over the course of those 2 games.
They did not hit well with runners in scoring position. No.
No, and that always seems to be the thing in the playoffs that differentiates the teams that win and the teams that lose. And as Yankee fans, I think we know that more than anyone.
I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
How many runs did the Braves score? Was it like 2 or 3?
Let me see if I can look it up.
The second game, I think, was a rout, wasn't it?
No, they only scored late.
It might have turned into a rout late, but it was like here. I got it right here. So the first game was 1-0 in 13. The second game was 5-0. And
But it was 1-0 really late.
It was 1-0 going into the bottom of the 8th. It was 1-0, and Atlanta scored 4 in the bottom of the 8th.
So I mean, I know it didn't end both games 1-0, but
Cincinnati
They
only had 2 hits in game 2. They had 11 hits in game 1. Didn't score a run. That's amazing. It's hard to do, but in 13 innings, I guess that makes sense.
I guess my point is the difference between the Braves, who are getting so much praise and just they scored enough to win. They didn't hit very well in that series, just like the Reds didn't. But we're talking about the Braves like they are this team that's a contender in the East, which they absolutely are and deserve to be talked to that way. And they're a very, very good baseball team.
Yeah, they won the division 3 years in a row.
But is that lineup really that much better than the Reds lineup?
Yes.
Like, to be getting different. I mean,
so
they were an inning away from the World Series.
It's a bad way to word it.
In game 2, the Reds lineup was Shogo Akiyama, Nicholas Castellanos, Joey Votto, Eugenio Suarez, Mike Moustakas, Jesse Winker, Nick Senzel, Freddie Galvis, Tucker Bernhardt. The Braves lineup is Acuna, Freeman, Ozuna, Darno, Albies, Duvall, Swanson, Markakis, Riley. That's advantage Atlanta.
No, it is. But my point is, like, in the series, like, one team barely scored enough to win. The other didn't score at all. One team is being talked about as having, like they played well in that series, and the Braves are getting praise. But the Reds are saying, like, you're pointing out that they didn't score a single run, which I'm not arguing is good. And this is kind of stupid to be even wasting time on this. But, like, I don't know. I just feel like they didn't 2 games.
The series could have gone either way.
They didn't produce what it mattered, is what it came down to.
Yes.
And then they didn't do anything to get better. They got worse. So they're just I'm taking the under on them.
They fall victim to one of those organizations that, they have their chance. They're a postseason team and they don't spend on it. They don't add payroll. They subtract payroll. And that's what happens with these small market teams, unfortunately. But that's a different conversation for a different day. Let's move on to the favorite in this division, in my opinion. That's the St. Louis Cardinals. So they made the one big splash that this division made in the offseason. They were kind of looking around and they were kind of talking about what we're talking about right now, about how this division's up for grabs. And they said, we'll take it. So they get Nolan Arenado from Colorado.
Let's call it what it is, an armed robbery.
Yeah. So they pair him across the diamond with Paul Goldschmidt. So that's a pretty lethal corner infield with Goldschmidt and Arenado. They have Flaherty to have that at the top of the rotation with the old man Wainwright. They bring back Yachty for one more go. This team is, in my opinion, the favorite in this division. In the playoffs, they lost to San Diego. They won the first game, then lost the next 2. The Cardinals, it's always about offense. Will they hit enough? And you would have to think with the acquisition of Arenado, they have that, protection for Goldschmidt, and that's a pretty dangerous 3-4. And this is a team that could potentially score some runs now that you put the best third baseman in baseball, arguably, in that lineup.
Yeah, I agree with you, Glenn. I think they are the favorite. For some reason, a lot of projections don't have them that way. Pagoda updated their projections, has them at 79.7 wins this year, which I think is absolutely absurd.
Well, they have Atlanta at 82 and 80. We'll get to that in a couple of weeks. But, some of the Pagoda projections are a little weird.
Like having the Cardinals as a sub 500 team is pretty baffling to me. Because they're gonna play really good defense. They always do. They have multiple Gold Glove winners. Plus,
they always have good pitching too. Not to cut you off.
Yeah, and guys that have the potential to win Gold Gloves. And I think they're going to hit. Like their outfield is young in Tyler O'Neill, Harrison Bader, Dylan Carlson. If those guys step up and play well, like there's no reason why they shouldn't run away with the division. I don't understand why anyone would say that they're not the favorite.
I agree 100%. None of the other teams scare me. We talked about the Cubs and the Reds, the Brewers and Pirates, we'll get into. They're not going to scare you per se. I just think the Cardinals, I think the Arenado trade with the pitching they already have, and as you said, the defense they always play, they're always fundamentally a good team.
Yeah.
The problem's always been, can they hit enough? And I think
Are you the
Arenado
one
gives them
that irrationally hates the Cardinals?
I don't hate the Cardinals.
You don't like their
Who?
owner.
Oh,
Oh,
Right?
yeah. Didn't their owner say something last year about losing money when he just bought like a villa
Yeah.
in California? That pissed me off. But I don't have anything against the Cardinals.
Yeah,
He shouldn't have said that.
True, especially in
When
the
people were
times.
unemployed and they were.
But yeah, I just think they're going to be a really good team. Just organizationally, they're strong. They just have a strong core and like an identity. They know who they are. And if they can get offense from, Arenado has a bounce back year. Goldschmidt continues to be Goldschmidt. And even like Yadi Molina, he's 40 years old. He's still producing at a high level. Adam Wainwright had a nice bounce back year last year. Shortened season, obviously, but like if he's going to be reliant and going to give you, I don't know, 25 starts, you're going to take that. And then you have Jack Flaherty, who a lot of people thought was going to be a Cy Young Award candidate last year, who still could be that. Like they're a good team.
Do we trust that bullpen?
Who's
I'm looking at it.
Andrew Miller is really the only name, and Giovanni Gallegos are like the two back
Andrew
end
Miller
guys.
might be a little washed up though.
He might be, but he's still a name. Other than that, it's a lot of unknowns. But
Are they without what's his name? Hicks.
Jordan Hicks, he should be back. He was coming off of Tommy John, but he should be back. Kid throws hard.
That's a huge
It
piece
was
of
like
the bullpen.
105.
Yeah, if he's healthy, he's an absolutely a huge weapon out of the bullpen. But bullpens kind of come together when there's not a lot of like big names. It's not very often,
Because there's no egos in the room.
Yeah, like it's not very often. Like the Yankees are a team that have a lot of big names in their bullpen, and they're good. I'm not knocking the Yankees, but it's not very often that a bullpen is full of like big name guys that everyone knows. But who knows? Genesis Cabrera here could have a great year for all we know. Like he could be an absolute stud.
I wonder if his name's actually Genesis or we just butchered that.
It's Genesis.
That's a pretty cool.
There's an accent on the E, and I'm not
That's
sure
a
how to
pretty
pronounce
cool
that.
first name.
Do we think this team's over 90 at the end of the year?
No.
No, not over
No.
90. But I'd take the over on whatever their projections are.
So
What if it's
79.
89 and a half,
Yeah.
Scott?
If it's 89 and a half, then no, I'm taking the under. I'm taking 89.
But you think they'll win the division with like 88 wins?
Yeah.
Around there.
I think that's absolutely fair.
All right. I think that's fair too. That's what I
would agree.
kind of have. I think they might squeak over 90. I don't know. Who knows? We
It's a
can't
lot
tell
of
the future.
wins.
90? 90 and 72?
Maybe not.
Let's move on to the Brewers, because the more that I think about it, the more I think the Brewers could be the kind of wild card team that challenges St. Louis. Yelich, they first of all, they went 29-31 last year. They squeaked into the playoffs. They were the last seed, lost to the Dodgers. They bring in Colton Wong from the Cardinals. They bring in Jackie Bradley Jr. from the Red Sox. You'd have to assume over the course of 162 that Christian Yelich is going to go back to what Christian Yelich normally does. Do you guys think that this is a team that could scare the Cardinals a little bit? Because it wasn't that long ago they were in Game 7 of the NLCS.
I hate the Brewers.
I know
I
you
really
do.
do.
It's all because of that one game.
Yeah, it is.
You can't keep
like
getting
them.
you can't get upset over stupid things, Cash.
That would be funny to our listeners if they heard the conversation we had prior to the podcast. But to give our listeners a heads up, I told Glenn the same thing, that he can't get angry over dumb stuff. But no, I whatever. That's irrelevant. It's years ago. I also don't think they've done anything to help their case against me. Like I just think they're an
You don't
irrelevant
think
team.
Bradley Jr. and Colton Wong improve this team?
Do they improve the team? Sure.
Defensively, yeah.
Is it that big of a deal though? Because if it really was a big of a deal, don't you think that JBJ would have been signed a lot earlier?
That's fair. And when did the Cardinals kept Wong if they thought it was so important? I don't know.
Yeah,
Right.
I feel like on multiple times on this podcast, we were shipping Colton Wong out of St. Louis for his lack of offense. And now we're like, oh, is he a good piece for the Brewers?
Defensively, he's phenomenal. Like he's one of the best defensive second basemen in league, and overall just one of the better defenders. Same with JBJ, but they both leave you wanting a whole lot more at the plate. So I don't think they make that big of a difference. Especially, I mean, they're moving Keston Hiura, who's a good bat, to first base because his defense lacks.
Isn't he kind of short?
He's 6 foot. He's listed at 6 foot. He's probably a little shorter.
So does that mean I could play at first base in the MLB?
I guess
I
so.
don't know if that's how it works.
I'm almost 5'11".
I mean, if you look at these batting averages from 2020, Navarez hit 176, Smoke hit 186, Herrera. How do you pronounce his last name, Scott? I'm sorry.
Who?
The second baseman moving to first.
Keston Hiura.
Hira. He hit 212. Arcia hit 260. He's better than that. Sogard hit 209. 205 for Yelich. Garcia hit 238.
Is
Nobody's above
Yangervis
250.
Solarte still a starter for this team?
No.
Cash.
He played last year.
No, he
Somewhere.
Where?
Was he in
Where?
the Giants?
Was it the Giants?
Hold on, I can look it up.
There's no way.
I don't know.
Only one
Tyler,
guy was
I'll-
over 250 in that.
Tyler, I will bet my life savings he played last year.
No,
He did
because
not.
I don't know enough about
Yeah,
Yangervis Solarte.
no,
Hey,
his-
he did not play in 2020. He played
2019 he was on the Giants.
2019.
He never even played for the Brewers. He
He's played for the Padres.
got
Yeah,
traded
that's
to
what
the
I was thinking
Padres.
of.
Similar color
Tyler,
scheme.
you should have taken that bet. You would have won like $35.
No.
My life savings.
But yeah, I don't know. I think
RC and Yelich have to be better, I guess. That's
yeah,
the whole thing.
I think if Yelich is back to where he was MVP wise, certainly they could carry them. But they might have the two of the best relievers in the game, and Josh Hader and Devin
Don't tell
Williams.
Cash that.
Josh Hader sucks.
Just because he screwed you in a video game
Simulated.
simulation.
I was up 4-0 and lost because
He's-
Josh Hader gave up a grand
He's still
slam.
good, and if the Yankees traded for him tomorrow, you'd be all over it. You'd be.
They
so
might because Britton's going to be out for a little bit.
But they have good guys in the bullpen. Starting pitching wise, they have Brandon Woodruff and Corbin Burns. I think they're the next closest to the Cardinals, but I still think they have room for improvement. If that's what you're looking for, Glenn.
What does Pacoda say about the Brewers?
Pacoda has them winning the division at 90 games,
Under.
which I think is absurd. Yeah, I'm taking the under on that.
I think.
Are you sure they didn't mix up the Cardinals and the Brewers?
Or
I
the
hope-
Braves and the Brewers?
I
or-
sure hope so, because whatever their math is it's interesting.
It's very.
How do they calculate it? Do they give a
They close their eyes and
They-
throw darts at
They
a
run
dartboard.
like thousands and thousands of simulations of the season.
I would love to see the algorithm they use to figure it out.
Would be nice.
I don't know.
Something
'cause
tells
I
me
don't- I
Pacoda's
don't
not
know.
releasing that information, Glenn.
No, because then anybody can do it.
Can we talk about how Eric Sogard still has a job in the MLB?
Valuable
He is a valuable guy.
defensive player.
And Yangervis Solarte doesn't? That's some BS.
Hey,
I love
What
that
was
guy.
Solarte's signature Yankee moment, Cash?
He hit a walk-off home run?
Did he? I don't think so.
He played for the Yankees just as long as he played for the Brewers.
No, he played for the Yankees.
He got
I know.
traded for Headley, Chase Headley.
You know when Yangervis Solarte played for the Yankees? When McDonald's was giving out those cards and Happy Meals. And Miguel Cairo, I'm pretty sure it was around the same time. Was it not?
Miguel Cairo is like 50 years old. He hasn't played in
I
15
will
years.
bet you there is a roster. A
2014.
Yankee roster.
He only spent half the
2014.
season with the Yankees too.
He had
Miguel
a great
Cairo?
half of the year.
When do you think Miguel Cairo's last year was?
I'm talking about
I
Solarte.
don't know.
Miguel
We're not talking
Cairo's
about the
been
same
long
person.
gone.
Miguel Cairo's last year was 2012.
Well, that's 2 years before.
When did Solarte play for the Yankees?
2014.
2014. Played 75 games. and
Were
then was traded
McDonald's
for
giving
Henry.
out cards in 2012, 2013, and 2014?
Tyler's
Because it's
last year
possible-
with the Yankees though was 2007.
Dude,
I don't know what
but
you're trying to say. I don't know
Yeah.
Tyler really butchered that one.
McDonald. I didn't butcher it. I still remember it happening.
McDonald's gave
baseball
out
cards?
baseball cards.
Baseball cards, McDonald's in a Happy Meal. They would give you. I know
I
for a
gotta look.
fact Miguel Cairo had one. It's just whether Yangervis Solarte is actually a McDonald's Happy Meal featured player.
Probably not.
But
If
yeah, I mean,
Miguel
the more we're
Cairo
talking
was
about
on
this,
it,
the more
then
I'm
no.
wrong. Oh, who else was on that team? I got.
He had really good half a season.
That's a really specific memory that you have about McDonald's Happy Meals.
the McDonald's Yankee Happy Meal cards. I would collect them. Like I would try to get all of them.
I'm on eBay. I don't see any. I see McDonald's, but like from the 90s. Who knows?
Yankees, McDonald's Happy Meal toys.
Think
You got
you're, think you're stretching, man.
I'm not stretching.
I think
I have a.
you're getting your stories mixed
I
up.
gotta find them. They're somewhere. They are literally somewhere.
Can we just quickly talk about how bad the Pirates are going to be?
Sure.
It can be rough. Hey,
It's going to be
don't
rough.
make
You
fun
have
of
the
my
hat
guys.
on.
Don't
think
make
the most
fun of my guys.
the most exciting part of the Pirates are going to be what? Cole Tucker and Vanessa Hudgens hanging around?
Possibly.
that,
if
I don't-
she's
I
there
don't-
at the games, that'd be pretty cool.
Just so you guys know, we spoke about a specific individual beforehand that is a fan of two teams in the same league. This guy's Phillies fan of the Pirates hat. I don't know if that's allowed.
I'm a big Andrew McCutchen fan. I always was.
Always will be.
I'm a hat collector. So when we
Do
decided
you have
we
a hat
were doing,
from? Do you have a hat from every team?
not yet. Still working on that.
What don't you have?
I'm like halfway there.
I have a hat
Pretty
from every
respectable.
team except the AL East and the Mets.
So
That's fair.
my
And the Phillies. I don't
collection
like
my
the
collection
Phillies.
has gone on a pause. I haven't been spending money on that. Yeah, the Pirates stink. They flat out stink. Unless prime Andrew McCutchen, Josh Harrison,
Garrett Cole.
Pedro
you just speak the
Alvarez
forbidden words. You might have.
are coming back. I don't think they're going to get any better. They have the #1 overall pick in the draft. So I'm sure they're watching a lot of Vanderbilt baseball to watch Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter to figure out which Vanderbilt pitcher they're going to take. But they stink. They were the worst team in baseball last year, and
They'll probably be again.
probably will be again. The only bright spot is Cabrian Hayes, who
Yeah.
led the team in WAR.
And
he
Todd
played-
Frazier.
If you make
Great
clubhouse
clubhouse
guy.
guy.
Big clubhouse guy.
Cabrian Hayes led the team in WAR, and he played like 12 games, and people wanted him to win Rookie of the Year.
And Cole
no.
Tucker's dating Vanessa Hudgens.
That's right. I said that before.
Sorry.
Yeah, got like a 12-year difference in age, but good for Cole Tucker.
How do they meet?
Probably slid
Who
into
knows?
some DMs.
I guess. I
They
can't
stink.
even imagine
That so
how else that would work.
she must not know what team he plays for.
He probably said the Yankees in the DM.
Yeah, so
He said Wildcats. He said I play for the Wildcats.
good for him. But the Pirates suck, and that's all you can say. Beautiful ballpark.
I'd love to
woman.
go. It's
Bad
really
team.
nice.
It is very nice.
I play it on the show a lot.
It's
It's very
cheap.
nice on the show.
Get tickets for pretty cheap.
Yeah.
I don't
For
have any
whatever
I really have
positive
nothing else to say about the Pirates. I'm sorry.
I don't either.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't blame you.
I'm still watching Solarte highlights.
the
It's a
Pirates.
2-minute video. How you?
The
How long is
Pirate, the Pirate fans aren't even saying anything. So
I do remember. So well, this is nothing about the Pirates. And I said let's talk about the Pirates. We have nothing to talk about. I do remember Solarte like hit cleanup for the Giants for a little bit.
he
Or the
wasn't
Padres.
he wasn't such a
He wasn't bad.
scrub. Oh.
I don't know. I remember he got a hot start with the Yankees, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, we found him!"
Yeah, and then they traded him.
And then he like kind of fell off a cliff, and then they traded him for Chase Headley. Chase Headley was an interesting time when
I
Chase
saw him hit a
Headley-
walk-off.
Yeah,
Yep.
he
They
was
played
either
two
really
outfielders and
good or
5
just couldn't
infielders.
do anything.
Talk
Huh?
about one of my least favorite Yankees of all time. My
Chase
goodness.
Headley.
Oh my goodness.
I can get behind that for sure.
he almost won an MVP
Not with the Yankees.
with the Padres.
Chase Headley's
Okay.
career highlight was, falling face first in between first and second in that ALCS game.
It
You guys
happens
finally
happens to the
remember.
best of us.
Yeah, and that big comeback against the Astros.
I did it in my fall season. I tried to steal second base, and we were playing on
So?
turf, and I just face planted. I didn't even make it to second base. I just laid there, and he tagged me, and that was it.
Oh my God.
Pretty embarrassing.
That is pretty embarrassing.
It's all right though.
That's fine. So the Pirates, what's their PECOTA?
42.
13.
61.7.
I gotta go under. I'm
Gotta go
sorry.
under.
So
Gotta
they
go
have
under.
them as point two
Three.
better than the Colorado Rockies.
I'll go under.
I
You're
still
going
think the Rockies
under.
are a better team, a much better team than the Pirates.
I think it's pretty hard to lose more than 100
100
games. It's tough. It's tough. I'll take the over.
You gonna take the over?
I'm gonna
Okay.
take the over also.
Very slim under from me.
Just because I don't like
I'll go under too. I like when teams lose 100 games. I just think they should be embarrassed.
Yeah,
because they
you
don't
you
try.
like it because your team's never done it and you've never had to go through it.
No.
So
The worst the Yankees have ever done in my lifetime is 84 wins.
that's
Yeah, we truly haven't seen an under 500
you're
season
such
ever.
a spoiled child that you've never seen a losing team.
I've seen bad football teams.
Shut
Trust
up.
me.
Scott, you have a more recent World's or
And I've seen
Super Bowl.
bad basketball
So,
teams, so it's kind of the same.
Yeah, but we're talking baseball here.
thing. Okay.
I need to tell you something, by the way, about the Eagles after this episode.
Okay.
Don't let me
Can't wait for
forget.
that. We
This
should
could
keep
be-
recording and just talk
It's
about
really
the
not
Eagles
that
for a minute.
exciting. I just
It'd
don't
be
want to forget.
interesting.
Let's do some spring training news before we wrap this up. Britain is going to be out anywhere from like a month to 3. So he has bone spurs in his elbow. So it's not the worst that could happen with an elbow injury. When I woke up this morning and saw it on Twitter, I was like, well, he's out for the year, but it turns out he'll miss.
You're just an
Back by
incredibly
May or
negative
June.
person.
Well, when you hear elbow, what am I supposed to think?
Glenn, it is March 9th. It's crazy that it took us this long to get some sort of injury news.
It is impressive that they made it this long. It took 3 weeks.
Wow, and Gervis Solarte just hit a rocket.
He didn't
These
just hit
highlights
it.
hit it?
These highlights are just on loop.
But at the end of the day, glass half full. I'll try to be that guy today. He'll be back by June when the pennant race is going to start. It sucks that he's going to be out. It sucks that the Yankees are going to start off their season not at 100%, and he's a very important part of that bullpen. But as Scott alluded to when we talked about bullpens, the Yankees have a lot of closers in that bullpen. So they have Chapman, Green will just move up. They brought in O'Day. They have Wilson. They brought in Wilson to be another lefty. They have guys that throw hard in Loaizaga and Sessa, and whoever won't get the 5th spot, like Herman or Garcia or Schmidt when he comes back, they can survive this for a couple months. But it is also, to quote Joe Girardi, it's not what you want.
I miss that guy.
All right, you mentioned that the pennant race will be starting in June.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to put on my Yankee cap and give you a fan's perspective.
Are you gonna seriously put it on? Because I know
We
you
haven't
have one.
talked about No, I don't have one actually. To be completely honest with you,
You don't have
I
a
don't have a
Yankees
Yankee
hat?
hat that fits me.
Why?
Yeah,
How does that?
I don't know.
You should probably invest in one.
Literally everybody in the world has a Yankee hat.
I
It's
have a
one of the
Yankee
most-
hat.
I don't have one. Yeah,
It's one of the most recognizable fashion, accessories that anyone has.
You should definitely invest in one, Ty. That's bad.
I'm gonna get you one. Your birthday just passed. I'm gonna buy you one.
thank you.
What's your,
I
what's,
appreciate
your,
it.
gonna-
what's your size?
Are you gonna buy me one too?
No, absolutely not.
I
What's
don't
your
know
size?
my hat size to be
You
honest.
don't know your hat size. Okay.
Probably like 7 1/4.
I'm 7.5, and I think I have a bigger head than you.
I don't know.
We'll figure it out.
How did I start this? Sorry.
You're putting on your Yankee hat.
Something about a pennant
Yes.
race.
Wait, Glenn, what'd you say?
Something about a pennant race starting in June.
Yes, you said the pennant race will be starting in June, and that's when Zach Britton will return. Now, I'm putting my Yankee cap back on. It never came off. I put it on, it stayed on. But if this season, looking around at the AL East, now we haven't gotten there yet, we haven't done the episode yet, but looking around at the way the Rays look this year, the Red Sox look this year, and the Orioles look this year. Now, the Blue Jays scare me a tiny bit, but I don't think they're a huge threat yet. If
like the
at
rotation
any
that great.
point the Yankees are in a pennant race, there's a big problem.
You think they're just going to go wire to wire, win the division by 15 games?
it absolutely should be? Look at all the other teams in the roster. The
I
Blue
just don't-
Jays
I
have the
don't-
most talent aside from the Yankees, and they're young and unproven. Now, I think they can be a threat, and I think they will be a threat, kind of like the Rays have been. But if the Yankees don't wire to wire, hold this division down, there's a big issue.
But a pennant race is still a pennant race, no matter how far ahead.
It's just
you
a
are
matter
from
of
your
if you have
competition.
to call it a race or not, or if it's just a runaway victory, I guess.
Well, a
I
runaway
don't know.
victory is still a race. It's still a race.
They
until
should
somebody wins
comfortably
it.
sit between a 6 to 8 game lead. I feel
I agree.
like
I think
once they get
I
far
agree
enough away to
100%.
have that,
I think
They
that's
won't.
because
They never do.
it's a yeah. You're right, but I feel like
2019
if
was
it's
pretty.
not-
2019 was wire to wire. from what I
Yeah.
remember.
They should. Ty is absolutely right, though. There's no reason why the Yankees should have any real threat. But Cash is probably right as well that they'll leave the door open,
They
and
always do.
make you guys sweat a little bit because I'm sure that'll happen.
Well,
at some
there
point.
any baseball season, even if you're the Dodgers, you're the Pirates, there's going to be ups and there's going to be downs. It's just how big are the ups going to be and how big
Save
are the downs
this.
going to be.
Save this.
No, don't save it.
Save it.
I'm allowed to react in the moment, though.
No, you're not. Not
Yes, I
as
am.
dramatic as you do.
I think I'm well within my right.
Opening day, Aaron Judge is going to strike out, and you're going to throw a hissy fit saying he needs to be traded.
And you're going to do the same thing with Gary Sanchez when he's hitting
No, I'm a
Two-
huge Gary Sanchez fan.
220
Hit
That
another
was
home
not
run
me.
today.
first.
That was not me. I'm
Hit
a
a
huge
bomb
Gary
today.
Sanchez fan.
Gary Revenge Tour continues.
Fun fact about Gary Sanchez:
Go ahead.
I bought some of his baseball cards
Nice.
so that when he has a huge year and the Yankees make the playoffs, knock on wood, I'm going to sell them for 6 times my profit.
I think they'll make the playoffs.
You know what? I think that's a great investment. I'm not gonna lie.
Give me some knuckles. Give me some knuckles.
Take it. Already. Fun fact. I can provide here.
Regardless, the Yankees will. It sucks that Britton's out. I think this is my point. It sucks that Britton's out for a couple months, but it's better now than later.
Totally.
Yes.
100%.
That's my point. What's it like in Philly's world?
They're not winning a lot, but they've
No.
looked good. They smacked the shit out of the Yankees the other
And then the
day,
Yankees return the favor. Let's not forget
15-0.
that.
Against
Which
the Three
was,
Musketeers, but
which
we'll
was
continue.
nice. Hey,
Yankees
Debbie
have
go-
their C team out there, but it's
Debbie
fine.
they did not have their C team out there. You guys clearly did not watch that game.
Well, I
Right,
couldn't. It
right.
wasn't on Yes.
It was on. I think it was on MLB Network.
Yeah, but
No,
it
that
wasn't. It was
not.
on tape delay though until later.
Yeah, I don't know. They're interesting. I think they're gonna be better. I think they're gonna be a lot better than what people are saying. Their bullpen looks good. The most interesting thing right now is the center field competition, with Adubel Herrera kind of leading the way, and it being a hot topic of conversation in Philadelphia. A lot of people don't want him to be on the team. I'm kind of in the field of, well, he did everything that the organization asked him to after his suspension for domestic violence. Went to couples counseling and has done everything that they've asked him to. They say he's very remorseful. Obviously he made a mistake and what he did was wrong. But they own $10.5 million this year, whether or not he's on the roster or not. So they're giving him every opportunity to prove one way or the other. And right now it looks like he's going to make the team because he's hitting over 400, and he's playing just about every day. So that's kind of what's going on in Philadelphia right now.
Not a Nova fan.
He stinks. That guy's a bum, Ivan Nova. I hope he doesn't make the team. I
want to know where Ivan Nova pitched well?
With the
Pittsburgh.
Yankees.
He had a really good
he was good on
rookie
the
year.
Pirates. Yeah, because they have Matt Moore and they have Chase Anderson and they have Vince Velasquez to kind of make up their 4-5. I don't feel the need for Ivan Nova to be here anymore. They could send him packing now, and I'd be okay with that. Yeah, I'm excited for the Phillies. I think they're going to be, hopefully good.
Didi forgot his jersey in Clearwater. Had to wear number 95. I thought
Yeah.
that was funny.
Yeah, I'm not quite
Um,
sure how that happens, how they forget.
Is that his job though, or is there people that do that for
Yeah,
them?
they-
I always
they-
assume that they had equipment managers that will do
Yeah,
that for them.
But the tweet that I sent you guys made it seem like it was his fault that he didn't
Maybe
have
with
his
COVID.
jersey.
It's
Maybe,
different.
maybe.
That's a good point. They might not have it.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
So, and
Ugh, that's
if
fun.
you did that in high school, you'd be riding the bench for a
Yep,
couple
absolutely.
days if you forgot your jersey, or you're calling your mom frantically to drive it to you.
Been there, done that.
Oh my god, I remember those days. Those were not good times. I feel like even more embarrassing is if you bring the wrong jersey. Like if you bring your away jersey instead of your road jersey, and then everyone's wearing white, you're wearing blue. I think that's also very embarrassing. White pants versus gray
feel like
pants.
Glenn might have done.
I've had a
this.
couple of experiences, okay? But Didi's a professional athlete. He should know better.
Shouldn't
Cash,
have
how are
that
how are the Miners? I'm just going down the order. How are the Miners
Go for
doing?
it.
I know you got
78 days away from first pitch. We're very excited, hoping to see all you guys there this summer.
We having fans?
Yes, we are having fans.
That's nice. Do we need COVID tests?
No.
Nice.
So we are 78 days away from first
Can't wait
pitch.
for the day I can go to a game and not show a test card or whatever. However
Yeah.
that's going to work.
We are very, very excited.
The Orioles are opening up. I'm sorry to cut you off. You can finish your
No,
point about the
we're
minors.
very excited.
Okay. The Orioles are opening up 40% or 50%.
Wow.
It's a lot. I mean,
That is
they
a lot.
probably have to because they're not going to have a lot of fans to begin with. They're probably not going to fill out those 50%. But you know,
I don't
it's a
know.
lot.
There's
you
gonna
think
be,
people are just going to be hungry to go?
there are
and they'll
going to
just
be
go?
teams who don't usually have attendance that will have attendance this year. Like people are just really itching to get out of their house.
I can't wait to go to a game.
Are you
Sounds
gonna
like
come to a Miners game, Glenn?
I'll go to a Miners game if I have a day off.
Speaking
hope
of that, guys, we have a big announcement.
No, I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to do that. No, you can do it. It's fine.
You are such a bullshitter. You've been waiting for an hour for somebody to do
dude,
this.
you
shit.
you tweeted it and then texted into our group chat.
Yeah,
Said,
you couldn't
look
tell
at my
us
Twitter.
first. You
I
had
told you
to-
guys. I told you guys simultaneously.
No, that's horse shit. Anyway, Glenn got a job or whatever. Fuck you, Glenn. That was bullshit.
We have an insider now.
Big
MLB.
inside.
Glenn got a
Insider.
job with the MLB. So congratulations, Glenn.
Thank you. You're embarrassing me.
You're a fucking bullshitter. You love every second of this.
That's good. It's a good point. I do. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'll be working in Sea Caucus doing some graphic stuff with the pitch cast and all that. So that'll be fun. But hopefully it doesn't interfere with our podcast because that would blow, and we'd have to get creative with how to do
Sure.
that because we're all working now. I
Well,
was the
come-
one guy that wasn't working. Now I
this-
am.
Come the season, we're probably gonna have to change our schedule up a little bit.
We're gonna have to do some 2 a.m. podcasts.
Absolutely not, but like I don't know. We have
Well,
off days,
Tyler and
like-
Scott work during the day. Me and you will probably work nights.
I mean like what day of the week? But I guess it's
Oh,
different
good
for you.
point.
You're gonna be working.
Scott
different
works
days
days
every
with me
week.
too. Not with me.
I
but
feel
we
like
both.
I feel like Scott
Dude,
works abnormal hours.
I got the worst schedule in the world. It sucks, but you know,
But you work remotely. That's cool.
yeah, I work from home, so I can't really complain that much. I get to roll out of bed 5 minutes before I have to start working. So,
And he never lost any work, so he's just racking. in
yeah,
the
you know, still got paid, so I can't be
There you
can't be
go.
too angry.
That's awesome.
So.
Before we wrap it up, do we have any last thoughts?
I had something I was going to say during final thoughts about 10 minutes ago, and I just lost it. So that's okay.
You gotta
No.
write things down.
No, you know, Glenn, I'm looking forward to your preview article whenever you write it.
Oh,
Um,
it's right. I'm writing it. I'm halfway through.
So whenever that's
BS.
there, you know,
No, I swear.
looking
No, I
forward to that. You know,
don't. Yes, I need to do that. I've been very busy, so I will write that. Hopefully,
very
it'll be
busy
done-
tweeting. He's been very busy. Tweeting.
hopefully, it'll be done by the end of the week, and I'm going to use this podcast that we just talked about it, and I will use it in my article. What's up, Ty? You found it?
I'm
You
raising
found
my
out what
hand.
you want?
Currently, my final thought for today is going to be the fact that on Thursday, April 1st, the home opener at Yankee Stadium, 1:05 p.m. against the Blue Jays, the cheapest ticket you can find is $444.
That's got to be an April
I
Fool's
think it
joke.
goes down to like $15 the next day, or the next
I
game.
mean, this
'Cause
is
the
just StubHub.
the
but-
pinstripe.
Oh, you're
pass-
saying the next day?
Yeah, the pinstripe
122
pass-
on Saturday, 73, and then it's just a decline back into
What
like
do you?
the 30s.
Where are you getting your tickets from?
Are you guys
StubHub.
going to opening day?
StubHub? I'm probably working over.
Not for $444. I'm not.
No, you got to save those pennies for our playoff game.
Our playoff game.
the Yankees playoff game.
Yeah, we go every year.
I would love. Yeah, that
mean,
sounds great. I can still go to a few games along the way.
I haven't.
I want to
been
buy a
going-
9-game package or a 12-game package so bad. I just don't pull the trigger on it
So
because
on-
like
I've
what
been
if I
on
can't
t-
go?
I toyed with that in 2019, but you know, I was talking to my Yankees Twitter rep, and he told me, fun fact, if you sell more than 5 games on StubHub, you get banned from Yankee Stadium.
Well, you
If
can
they
use
catch
different
you.
ticket apps.
StubHub, Ticketmaster, whatever. If you sell more than 5 games online,
Yeah, because what people were doing, they buy that, they'd sell the Red Sox games, and they break even.
right?
It's a good point.
But like, I couldn't make that commitment because
So on Ticketmaster,
of
they have
our
a thing called Pinstripe Pass. I don't know if it's on StubHub, but it's just $15. You don't get a seat, but you just get entrance into the stadium. So it's $15, and you get your first drink included. What? It's
Right.
just there.
All right, I guess we could tell the people because it's not going to like sell at Yankee Stadium. But I was actually looking at that, and it's a really good option because the stadium's going to be like 10,000 fans.
Yeah.
You
But
buy the pinstripe pass.
They're gonna have seats roped off.
Of course they are. However, you can talk to a security guard. I feel like it will be
I think
easier
they'll
than
definitely
ever.
they'll be more strict. I think. I don't think it'll be.
I feel like it's the total opposite. I feel it's
You
going
know
to be
what?
easier than ever.
we're gonna give it a shot.
I think we do give it a shot.
Let's do
agree
it.
with you there.
Well,
And
not
at the
opening
worst-
day.
We get a free
No,
beer
not
on
opening
Rondo.
day. I'm not spending.
No, I got to do a weekend.
The Yankees go down to Philly in May, I believe.
What's up, guys?
That works.
Tyler and I made a pact that we were never going back to that stadium. So
Why?
we hit like 3.5 hours worth of traffic on the way home from a Phillies game.
Well,
Cash.
you didn't plan correctly.
You literally, I'm going to say this right now. For as long as I've known you, you've driven like almost everywhere.
Right.
How did I manage to be the driver for that 3.5 hour trip?
I didn't have a car.
How?
It was in the shop. My car was
very
getting
worst
sure the
fixed.
trip,
listeners
it
are
was
very
me behind
into
the
this
wheel
conversation.
out of all people, and you're the one that always drives. Literally
Always.
almost every time.
Always. I always drive.
You guys had bad luck in Philly, man. You guys got lost at one time going to the club
I don't
game.
like that.
Tyler was also driving. Tyler was also driving.
Dude, why do you think I hate Philly so much?
Philly's a fine city.
Tyler's
it's
driven
a little
2
dirty,
times.
but it's fine.
Tyler and
What
I have
city
been,
is it?
Tyler and I have been roommates since junior year of college, and we've been very good friends since freshman year of college. And I have driven every single time except for 2 times, and it was when he got lost in Philly and when we got traffic.
Yeah.
Sounds
I
like
don't
a
that city.
problem.
I just don't like it.
The cheesesteaks are good.
I like it for the cheesesteaks. All right, I don't hate Philly. I just hate me driving in Philly and around
I hate
Philly and
Philly.
away from Philly.
I saw Pete Davidson in Philly a couple months ago. It was fine. Philly's a nice place.
What were you doing in Philly?
I said I was seeing Pete Davidson.
I thought you were saying like
I
was
thought you
in
were
Philly,
like on the
I
streets.
ran into Pete Davidson, and yeah, Philly's
No,
a nice
he was
city.
doing a show in Philadelphia. My God.
during a pandemic.
Yeah, I just ran into Pete Davidson in Philly in the middle of a pandemic.
It's extremely possible.
Wait,
Never.
why
Small
was
world
he
after
doing a
all. You know a
show
little
in the
bit
middle
about
of
that, right?
pandemic?
Well, he was
Gotta
doing an
make
outdoor
money.
show. It
Interesting.
was everyone was socially distanced.
Was it at Citizens Bank Park? Because they were like
No, it
doing
was-
stuff outside there.
No, it was at
Over
some
the
like
summer.
it was like in the parking lot of some comedy club. It was
Alright.
very weird. But it was fine. I like Pete Davidson. I think he's great.
We have
Cool guy.
absolutely lost our followers here.
No, it's fine. That's the way the end of shows should be.
If people make it this far,
If people make it.
I
this
hope
far.
they do. Thank you. If
I
you're
think
here.
they do. I think we do a great job. I think
I
we're
think
very
so, too.
fun. If nobody else has anything else to say, I guess I'll wrap it up. Anything else? Any other spring training news?
No.
No. We will talk about Odorizzi when we do the AL West.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Beauty.
All right. That will just about do it for this edition of Base Hit Ball 4. Next week we will do we're not going to skip the NL East and we're going to go into the AL West. So that'll be fun. For Scott Roswell, Tyler Blumistic, and Alex Cashman, my name is Glenn Denegers. We'll see you next week and keep enjoying spring training.